Hello, you sexy little scams, and welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Josh, joined today by, of course, Ewan Patterson, the great man, because we've decided to do something different with news. As you know, gaming news is kind of weird, isn't it, Ewan? Like, you either go through long periods where everything is just hitting you, and then there are weeks where there's nothing to report on at all, and then there's the middle ground where there are some cool, interesting news stories that don't justify a full-length video. So we've decided to round a lot of them up because they are still worth talking about and deliver them to you in a nice little bite-sized fashion.
My favourite fashion.
Exactly. So first up, we've got the fact that, surprise, surprise, Days Gone, the upcoming PlayStation exclusive, is actually quite good.
It's good.
A slew of first impressions from a bunch of outlets. They've had 5 hours with the game, and they say it's genuinely quite good, which is a proper surprise to me.
I have to be honest, Josh, I forgot this game was even coming out, that it was this year. I mean, we have, how many other PS4 exclusives we have? We have...
this year we've got Ghost of Tsushima.
Maybe Last of Us 2.
Maybe Death Stranding, which we'll get to later, but this is coming out in April, and they went into like what you can expect to do in the game. They commented on the story, and they also revealed, the developers a few days before this came out, that the game will be 30 hours long and have 6 hours of cutscenes, which seems like a lot. Metal Gear Solid 4.
I was going to say, Metal Gear Solid 4 in this thing.
That had 8 hours of cutscenes, so that's the level we're at. Which is kind of good, I think, because in the past, the developers have talked about how story-driven the game is going to be, and 6 hours of cutscenes seems to indicate that it's going to be pretty hefty.
I mean, how much more can we take of Daryl from The Walking Dead? I'm sorry. I mean, it's like Sons of Anarchy meets zombie fiction.
Exactly. Well, it's interesting that you make that comparison, because one of the big criticisms when the game was announced a few years ago at its first E3 showing was the main character, Deacon St. John, which is admittedly an overcompensating name, if you ask me. Apparently, all of the impressions so far have said that he's actually quite compelling, in that his story and his banter with the other characters should sustain the game as a whole. Again, they've only had 5 hours, but I mean, that's interesting to me. Although he does look a bit generic still.
He does. The name reminds me of a really bad, forgotten 90s Marvel comic book character.
Absolutely,
The ones that had all the spikes on them and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If there was a man who would shag his own motorbike, it's someone called with this name and with that look. Do you think? Do you agree with me? Come on, guys. I'm not just making this up.
I went, but I definitely agree with you. So there we go.
They also went into some gameplay details where they mentioned like you'll be doing the general things of scavenging, looting, stealthing, and fighting your way through. And they said it was tight, to be expected from the guys who made like Siphon Filter and stuff. Anyway, what have you got for me today?
Anthem. Anthem is still a thing. Obviously, you know, we've all been not singing the praises of Anthem because EA have kind of woven, and BioWare have woven kind of a very forgettable kind of looter-shooter type game. That's what we've heard for the past few weeks now. But a new story developed in the past week where people who had bought it on PS4 were actually having their consoles destroyed by the game itself. And the only way I can really describe this is that basically they've been putting Anthem into PS4.
Yes.
And then it's been bricking the consoles in some cases, which the only close comparison I can have is if the alien chestbuster from Alien was ripping through John Hurt's flesh. That is what this game is doing to your PS4 right now. And EA have come out and said that they're actually aware of the problem, that they want you to share your crash report details if this is still persisting. But it's actually turned out as well that it might be happening on Xbox too, although not bricking the console permanently, but causing like a hard reboot.
Yeah.
So Forbes' Paul Tassi said this was the case, and I don't understand how this game has gotten through to actual release, and it's actually destroying the consoles? It's mad.
Seems like a mad oversight. And as someone who has recently broken their PlayStation 4 Pro and just got it fixed, this scares me even more. It makes me not want to play Anthem. It's like it's just killing these consoles by sheer mediocrity, it seems.
Could you imagine the industrial espionage it would take to just like get into Josh Brown's apartment and just slip it his PS4 on his little G copy with Anthem, and then it destroys it all. It's all gone forever. But yeah, it's just it's a really, really weird situation, because I know we've had kind of since the PS4 started, this console cycle started, we had loads of games, Assassin's Creed Unity's weird face thing, you know, loads of games have released in a very poor state. And I thought we'd kind of gotten away from that now, and then Anthem's been like, we're bringing it back, baby. It's back, and I feel sorry for anyone who's having to deal with this, because I hate it when technology doesn't work. Like, you have one job to do, work, and then it doesn't work, and
well, with Anthem, it has had a bad run since it launched. Not only is the gameplay itself in contention, the fact that it has all these bugs and it has the lack of content and is now bricking consoles, it's just not a good look. And I want them to be able to come back from this, but I'm not sure Will they be able to? I don't know. It's a pretty disastrous launch, all things considered, for a relatively mediocre, if kind of
We
promising
need
game.
BioWare to come back, solely for the fact that Scott Tailford has been stuck in the corner wailing and sighing and being sad because BioWare were great and he loved Mass Effect.
Listen,
and you love shagging aliens and Mass Effect, so you know what? Bring that back, you know?
And I'm sorry for that, man. I remember that time when you walked in. I'm genuinely really sorry. Anyway, up next we've got an update on Death Stranding, the game which I'm still not convinced is ever actually
The one with
coming
Daryl
out.
from The Walking Dead.
Again, it all comes full circle. The patter cycle
Also,
continues.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh yes, Bear.
I love how
And,
Hideo Kojima's Twitter account was just transformed into a Mads Mikkelsen appreciation.
well, it's the same, like Mads Mikkelsen and Norman Reedus, that's all he retweets. Every single time he's watching a new episode of The Walking Dead, that's all he talks about. Anyway, there is actual news because Hideo Kojima has been talking in a new interview on where the game is at the moment. And he said that the story itself is finished from beginning to end, but it is not in the polishing stage yet. They are still fiddling about with the open world elements because obviously, even though the story's finished, they've got all of this extraneous content to kind of pull together and make cohesive with the rest of the world. But, I mean, it's promising. They kind of say that they're behind schedule in a little bit. They did let on that there was a slight internal delay because obviously they haven't announced a release date, but they have one internally. And they said they're a bit behind, but nothing too significant. So we could potentially be seeing this game on console soon, maybe at the end of 2019 or for a potential PlayStation 5, I don't know.
That would be really cool. I could definitely see it being one of those games that kind of gets released on this current gen, but then kind of goes and segues into the next gen. Maybe get a remaster in a year's time, I don't know. I know literally nothing about this game. Every time I see it, my brain just has about 55 aneurysms, and then I spontaneously combust into a pile of blah. So I'm excited for it. I just wish I knew what it was doing.
Well, I mean, I've watched every single bit of footage so far, and I still don't know what's going on. I know it's about sticks and stones. I know it's got a naked Norman Reedus in it, and a baby as well. Let's forget the
and Mads Mikkelsen doing the thing. What is he doing?
What is he doing? I know he's kind of bad. And why is Guillermo del Toro there?
Oh yeah, he's in it.
What's going on with it? I don't know, but I'm genuinely really excited for it. My only worry is that the mystery that they've established will never be able to be paid off. In a way, I always joke that, it's never coming out. But in a way, maybe I don't want it to because the payoff can never satisfy the amount of expectation or mystique that it's built up so far.
Yes.
Also, in the same interview, Hideo Kojima said that in 10 years' time, we might have AIs in our fridges. So there is he's a good lad, isn't he? He enjoys himself.
I can already play Skyrim on my fridge. I don't want my fridge lowering the temperature to just because I said something mean about it.
That's
like,
the future.
Fridge, you never keep things cold enough. Oh, you want it cold, do you? And then just...
Imagine having a passive-aggressive fridge. Anyway, I feel like we've gone off track entirely. Rach is telling us to wrap up.
Yeah.
Ewan, what's next?
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. This is the game that we kind of was announced in the most pathetic, unceremonious fashion ever at last year's E3. They had a Zampella come on stage. Well, not even come on stage, just literally
in the crowd.
Walked into the crowd and was like, Jedi Fallen Order, that's what we're doing. Sick, bruh. And then we kind of had a few details in the months following. We do know that the game is set in between episodes 3 and 4. You'll be playing a rogue Jedi, and that the Inquisitors could kind of be involved as the big baddies. We did a news video with Scott the other week that you can go check out because that has more details on it. But basically, we actually have some new information now that the guy who wrote Knights of the Old Republic 2 and Fallout New Vegas is actually writing Jedi Fallen Order. He's finally wrapped it up, and this was revealed in a few tweets. The man in question is called Chris Avallone, and yeah, that's really cool. I think, obviously, Knights of the Old Republic 2 isn't remembered as fondly as the first game, but certainly in terms of, going back to that old age of like LucasArts at their peak when we had all these fantastic Star Wars RPGs, I think that's fantastic news. And also because Fallout New Vegas was kind of the best Fallout game.
You don't need to convince me on that. You're speaking to the converted here, brother. But yeah, it's kind of weird because Knights of the Old Republic 2 obviously at launch took a lot of flack for being kind of this like rushed and unfinished, which Poor Obsidian have like great talent behind them, but they've always been working in these kind of constricted environments, and I think that game was definitely sort of a victim of that. So it's exciting to see him on this new project. Hopefully he has the story to work with, and it's not just going to be kind of an open world multiplayer loot grinder or something like that.
That would be a bad thing. But I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we know nothing. We still know nothing. But apparently it's going to get revealed at Star Wars Celebration, which I think is in April. I think. You think? I think. But yeah, let us know. I don't know. I'm very excited about it.
I can tell you.
I can't stop talking.
Well, you're back into Battlefront 2 at the moment, aren't you? So what is the state of Star Wars at the moment?
I mean, we've got a video coming out called 10 reasons why you're wrong about Star Wars Battlefront 2, so that's looking forward to.
I'm not saying this is a giant plug video for that, but I'm also not saying
I've plugged 2 videos now, so try and stop me. So yeah, no, Star Wars is in a really weird place. I think under normal circumstances, if Battlefront 2 had performed better, maybe we would have had a Battlefront 3 this year, because obviously each one has released with each iteration of the sequel trilogy. But no, I'm really excited about it. We've all been screaming for a single-player Star Wars game for what feels like forever. Yeah. So you know what? I'm happy about it. I mean, there's a delineation to be made here because it's not the same Respawn that did Titanfall. They have 2 different studios.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Single-player elements and multiplayer FPS elements. So you know, it's still kind of a new thing. So hopefully they kind of come good on it in the end, because I want to play a good Star Wars game. That sounds
exciting to me. Like you said, we'll see more at the actual Star Wars Day next month. But I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below about every single one of these new stories. Are you looking forward to Death Stranding? Do you think it will ever come out? And are you keeping your fingers crossed that Star Wars might finally be saved this year? I know it's EA, and I know we're not very excited, but Respawn are really good. Either way, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've been Josh.
I've been Ewan.
You've been watching What Culture Gaming, and now we're going to get very soft and say goodbye. Goodbye. Bye. Bye. Rach, say goodbye.
Bye.
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 You guys, chat.
Bye, goodbye.
Bye.
That worked.